All right, everybody, welcome to 24 Slayton. We're back with Jason, and we're here. Just gonna get back into the story, and hopefully, you guys listen to the first one and have some more stuff to go into. So earlier we talked about like just family and childhood growing up, and just different things in your life. And now we were almost on it in the talking, but you were talking about like hanging out and the guys you were hanging out with, and like not just school, but you were trying like you were getting in fights and stuff of that. So from that transitioned into other stuff. So
Mhm.
like let's go into that part from like right around where we were, I guess. Maybe, you know.
Okay. Well, I mean, so kind of like I was saying, it was when, my best friend Terry, he moved and like it kind of just triggered those like abandonment issues that I had in me, and I felt like kind of all alone. And I remember going to school and like I had other friends there, of course, but it just wasn't the same, you know.
Hmm.
I didn't have my boy there with me. I didn't have the guy that I felt like, has my back 100%. And I always craved that,
Yeah.
because like I just felt like I didn't have that growing up.
Hmm.
I didn't have my father. I didn't have like really close friends and, like people that I really fully trusted. Um, Uh, well, you know what? That's a lie. I did have one when I was younger, but the same thing happened.
Yeah.
He moved away.
Yeah.
And so that happened. And after that, I kind of just was like, I had friends, but not to that depth, where it was like, I trust you and I share everything with you. And, so after that, everything was just kind of like surface level with people.
Hmm.
It's like, oh, we play sports, we do this, we go out and ride bikes or whatever, but you're not really talking about anything, it's
Yeah.
just surface level. But with Terry, it was different. I had a really good friend, and so when that happened, like I said, I just kind of felt alone, I felt abandoned, and I just kind of was like went into this like belief that like everybody leaves me, everybody that I care about leaves me.
Hmm.
And so I just made the decision that I didn't want to go to school there anymore. Like I kind of just stopped playing basketball, I just kind of was like whatever with that, like it was just kind of gave up on that dream. And so I went back with my mom because I knew I had other people that I could hang out with and um, that I felt like kind of had my back, you know. And so when I did that, it was just kind of like back into that whole, gang culture, lifestyle, the criminal element. It was just, I was kind of enmeshed in that now again. And so I just kind of like dove into it like head first.
Yeah.
I just went full throttle with the whole gang culture, the everything. Like I wanted to, like I had been fighting it. That's what it felt like. I had been fighting it my whole life, but it was always there, and like it just kind of felt like inevitable.
Yeah.
You know, And so I just kind of stopped fighting it and just went with it and said, hey, this is who I am, this is what I am, and just put my whole heart to that gang lifestyle. And the sad truth is, like, I just became like a really horrible person. I had dabbled in drugs, so I started like at the age of 12. I was smoking weed here and there, drinking here and there. I had tried different drugs, but it was never like took hold of me. Um, but once I kind of gave myself over to that, I just really latched on to drugs, like as a coping mechanism, because we were doing a lot of bad stuff. Um, and so I was just kind of trying to stay high all the time. And, meth was my drug of choice. And now that I'm a little older, I kind of understand why, because, I have ADHD. And so that drug is kind of like an equivalent of like the stimulants that they give you to treat ADHD.
Yeah.
And so I was kind of like self-medicating, and kind of it kind of gave me this feeling like I just had superpowers. Like really, I felt like I could do anything, anywhere, anytime. Um, like I just felt invincible. Um, and so I kind of acted accordingly. I was just, using a lot of violence, hurting people, out there gang banging, really robbing people, committing home invasions, taxing people. Just, I didn't really know a whole lot about the whole gang like politics at that time,
Yeah.
but I was just doing what I was told. You know, they say do this, hey, I did it.
Yeah.
Because I wanted that acceptance. I wanted that love. I wanted um, that sense of like, hey, you're one of the fellas. You're down. You're like we got you.
Yeah.
We'll die for you. Like it was just this really warped sense of brotherhood, and I was just kind of like doing everything in my power not to lose that again, because I didn't want to feel abandoned. And so it all kind of just came to a head because that's where it was going. Like it was either I was gonna go to prison or I was gonna die. And there was multiple occasions where I could have died. I got in shootouts. At one point I had, one of the enemies. There was like a group of them, like five of them. They had me surrounded, and they had a gun to my head, and they were literally telling me, "I'm gonna kill you."
Yeah.
We told you don't come over here anymore. Don't be around here, and they robbed me. Um, but because of just how stubborn I was, like they wanted this ring that I had, and I wouldn't give it up. And they literally had a gun to my head telling me that I'm gonna kill you.
Yeah.
And I was like, I don't care. You're not getting my ring.
Yeah.
And, you know, by the grace of God, they didn't kill me. They had every opportunity. It was the middle of the night, 2 a.m., out there in the pitch dark, and I'm in their neighborhood because that's where my mom lives.
Yeah.
And, you know, but somehow I made it through that, and yeah, like I said, it just kind of all came to a head eventually. I got arrested for an attempted murder and a home invasion, and so now was kind of I'm in this LP, Los Padrinos. I'm in there, and now it's just like a whole new world.
Yeah.
It was now you're because when you're out in the streets, it's like you got weapons, you got your homeboys, you
Yeah.
got all this, and it's you feel like you're very brave,
Yeah.
but now you're in there and it's just you, and you gotta survive.
Yeah.
You gotta make it through. You can't be no punk. You can't be somebody that people feel they could take advantage of, because then that's just what you're marked as,
Yeah.
and you're gonna be treated like that, like a punk, and people are gonna hurt you, So I was just dead set against that. I was like, I'm not gonna be that guy, and it just kind of went from there, where I was just constantly getting in fights. I remember somebody, they test you when you get in there right away. And so it was somebody stole my stuff. I went to go take a shower, all my stuff was gone, and I was just like, okay, like what do I do now?
Yeah.
And so I went to one of the homies who's there, and he's like, hey, you gotta go. They call it, throwing a fuck or a
Yeah.
bass or whatever, and so going to the day room where everybody's programming, and it's just like fuck your mama, your hood, your granny, everybody, whoever took my shit,
Mhm.
and if they're about that life, they're gonna get up and come at you
Yeah.
because you just disrespected them in front of everybody. And so that's what happened. The guy rushes me, we fight, go to the box, come back out, we fight again, and but people see like, okay, like, hey, you're not a punk, and so you kind of get a little bit of respect, and um, then you can kind of more maintain, and but it just so happened that I got this Sally. Uh, he was like a Compton Crip, and he ended up like disrespecting me, and we ended up fighting. And then after that, all the Compton Crips in my
Yeah.
in my little module wanted to fight me,
Yeah.
And so I was like, what the hell, like, and I'm telling the homies like, what's up, like, kids, you got my back or what? They're like, hey, that's you. That's your thing,
Mhm.
Like, you got to deal with it. And so I'm fighting all these dudes, and finally they just kind of got tired of me, and LP, because they were just like, you causing too much trouble, and so they ended up sending me to the LA County, but they had a juvenile section, and so I'm in there, and it's kind of like going from high school to college now, because now you're not with the little kids no more. I mean, we're still kids, but now you got all the politics involved because you're in an adult facility.
Yeah.
And so it's just like now you got somebody that's running things, and people got to get hurt, jumped, or whatever. They got to get taken care of, and so I kind of put myself in that position where it was like, okay, well, somebody got to get beat up. Like I'll do it.
Hmm.
And since I was a big guy, they're like, yeah, okay, cool. So somebody got to get regulated. Like me and somebody else, we would just go in there and beat them up. And as I look back, it's like just so stupid. For
Yeah.
the reasons and why. But at the time, like I thought it was hilarious. I thought it was just I was having a ball there.
Yeah.
We were carrying knives and we had drugs galore that we were getting from the guys in the juvenile halls because they had easy access, and since like we were still juveniles, they would put us together in the holding tanks at court, and they would just give them to us and take them back, and we're transporting all kinds of drugs and dope and everything, um, and then it was just kind of like it became like super racial, where it was, Mexicans against the blacks, against the whites, against, everybody just kind of sticks to their own, and um, I mean, that was kind of hard for me at first because it was like, you know, um, I grew up with black people, you
Yeah.
know what I mean?
Yeah.
You're my uncle.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
you're half black, and I had a lot of my best friend was black,
Yeah.
at the time. I mean, you know,
Yeah.
so
Chavez and
yeah, I
Chavez and all
mean,
those guys come
it
over there.
was just like, I mean, for a second there, I thought I was black. You know what I mean? So it was kind of difficult, but I mean, it's like you got to do what you got to do to survive, and
Yeah.
so um, that's just how it was. It was like anytime you have an opportunity to hurt one of these guys, I mean, you take it, or else you labeled like a punk, chump, whatever, and so I was hurting a lot of guys in there because of the fact, just because that they were black
Yeah.
or they were Asian or whatever, just because of that, and so um, even though I didn't truly believe it, like I wasn't like racist, you know what I
Hmm.
mean? But um, I just kind of took on those beliefs and those morals because it was like, hey, like this is what you do when you're in here,
Yeah.
and so um,
Was there a problem because you didn't speak Spanish?
nah,
No. Because
nah,
like well, the thing is, like most guys, like gang members,
yeah,
they speak a certain way.
yeah, for
Lot,
sure,
lot of gang lingo.
yeah,
But
they do.
you don't speak a lot of it. I don't know if you don't do it because you're out, but like you don't. Like,
I mean, I kind of took on some of it,
yeah.
but I, I was never that guy though
Yeah.
that was that cliche,
Yeah.
hey, what's up, homes, and
Yeah.
all that type of
Yeah.
stuff. I mean,
Because all the words,
I
all the
just,
words through Shaw and
yeah, like
those.
that was never me.
Okay.
I just kind of spoke how I spoke,
Hmm.
but you do take on some of the lingo, of course, but
Yeah.
um, and then the only thing that about not knowing Spanish is that it was kind of a hindrance because it was like if somebody's speaking to you and they don't want somebody else to know, or like another race especially, then
Yeah.
they're going to speak to you in Spanish, and you need to know what they're saying because
Yeah.
sometimes it's important. And so, I mean, I learned pretty fast,
Yeah.
a lot, because I had no choice,
Yeah.
and I couldn't really respond, but I understood what they were telling me,
Yeah.
and that's all I really needed to know. And
Yeah. Because my mom spoke Spanish, never spoke it to us.
never.
My dad actually, where he grew up in East LA. my dad knows perfect Spanish.
Is that
Never
right?
talk. Yes, perfect. Like if he was talking on the phone, you wouldn't believe he's black. So he speaks perfect
He's
Spanish.
black, black.
Yes, and Jordan, like Jordan, he learned Spanish. So Jordan knows how to speak Spanish.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
because he's white, Mexican, black,
Yeah.
something else. So
Okay, okay.
so
That's cool.
he knows Spanish. So he's but it's funny. Like I don't know it, and everybody asks me like, why don't you know it?
Yeah.
My household did not speak it. So
Nope. And
yeah. So
Granny gets upset if you assume that she speaks Spanish.
yes, yes,
That
that's
is one of
funny.
her biggest pet
Yeah,
peeves.
it's funny. Yes.
Yeah. Why do you assume that I
Yeah.
know Spanish?
Yeah.
I'm like, well,
Yeah.
you do know
Yes.
Spanish. What
Yeah.
do you mean?
But don't assume it. Don't label me.
Yeah.
You look Mexican, mom.
Yeah.
Stop it.
Yeah. That was always hilarious to
Yeah.
me. She would get upset about that, and I'm like, but you do know Spanish.
That's
Like,
grindy, dude. That's grindy.
anyways, I mean, so it was just kind of like, um, just fighting my case.
So you were already in. Okay, when you were fighting your case, you were still in juvenile, right?
Yeah, I was a juvenile. I first they have what's called a fitness hearing, right? And so this is essentially like a court hearing where they decide whether you're going to be tried as a juvenile or an adult. And so on when I had my fitness hearing, because I had literally like no record, I had never been really arrested for anything, or there was a couple times where I was arrested, but I was always let go because I was a minor and all that and didn't really have any proof. But I actually won my fitness hearing, meaning that they decided they were going to charge me as a juvenile. And so I was about to take a deal where they had offered me like a year in camp.
Hmm.
Um, and I was like, yeah, where do I sign? You know? But at the time, I had this lawyer, and he was just not really a good lawyer.
Yeah.
You know,
Minor. Right.
he's what they call a dump truck.
Yeah.
In the prison legal. But so I don't know what actually happened. They just kept postponing it, and then later on, maybe about a few weeks later, a month later, I went back and I was trying to telling my lawyer like, hey, let me sign the deal, like, and they were like, oh, they took it off the table. And I was like, what? Why? And then all of a sudden I go to court and now they're charging me with all kinds of more charges. You know,
Hmm.
they're trying to get me for murder and another attempted murder and all kinds of different crazy stuff, and I'm just like, what?
Yeah.
you know, um, and I didn't really understand because all all this stuff that they're charging me with, like, I didn't do,
Hmm.
and that's just like the truth, and so, but what happened was they had to have another fitness hearing, and now I lost because I have a record now because of the other arrest. And so now instead of getting a year in camp, now I'm facing life in prison. And um, that was hard. It was hard to do because it was the reason why all of this came out, especially was because one of my crime partners, one of my homeboys or whatever you call it, he basically told everything, about what happened. And they just, as the cops do. They just figure, hey, you were there for this, so you must have been here for this
Mhm.
because they said there was a group of people, and so now you're getting charged with it. And so it was like, I'm speaking to people, and they're just kind of telling me basically like you're done, like there's really no hope for you,
Yeah.
like you're charged with all this stuff, and you're pretty much gonna get life, and you're gonna spend the rest of your life in prison and die in there.
Mhm.
And so that just kind of became my belief, I just kind of latched onto that to where it was like I lost hope, kind of, is what
Yeah.
it is. Or it's not even kind of, it's what it was, I lost hope that I was gonna get out. And so um, it's kind of hard, to deal with it, but I found ways to just cope, and that was just through just basically diving even more deep into it, to the culture, and to everything, and so eventually I ended up being sentenced to 7 years to life in prison for attempted murder, home invasion. What had happened though was like as I was fighting my case, like all these other charges were like dropped and dismissed, and to where I was back to the original
Yeah.
charges, but now I'm in adult court.
Yeah.
So I'm I got adult time,
Yeah.
and I'm not trying to sit here and like make it seem like it's unfair, because the truth is I was guilty, I was there. I tried to murder this man, and I don't really want to like say who it was
No.
or why and all that, but I participated, and I felt like he deserved it. And that's the sad truth. I felt like he was a snitch, and he told on us and got one of my homies arrested. And so I was like, at that time, my belief was, that can't be allowed.
Mhm.
Like, you gotta go. And so it was kind of like we never really talked about it and like formulated this plan where we're gonna go over here and try to kill this man, but it was just kind of understood, you know?
Mhm.
And so we went into his apartment, we are gonna rob him, and it just kind of escalated, you know?
Yeah.
And there was four of us. We went in to his apartment and started with just kind of intimidation and yelling and telling them where his money is, valuables, and um, then it kind of one of my crime partners, he hit him, and the other one hit him, and I was kind of being a lookout at the window, and then it went even further where they got a bat out of the closet and just kind of started beating him. And at that time, I felt like I I had to do something. like I had proved my loyalty, that like I was down for them, like really down for them, and this was like that moment. And so after they had beat him with the bat and stabbed him, I went in, I got one of the knives and I cut his throat. And so that's why I say that I deserve to go to prison, you know? My sentence, it was just, you know? I tried to take this man's life, and so in any kind of society, you know, like you, that's not tolerated, you know? Like you
Yeah.
have to face some kind of punishment for that, you know? And so I got this life sentence, and instead of like it making me reevaluate my life or think about all the things that led me to this path and kind of made me make this decision, I just was like kind of in denial, you know. I was kind of stuck and just
You're 16. Yeah.
I was blaming everything else,
Yeah.
and you know, I was blaming my crime partner for snitching. You know, I was saying, you know, looking at all these legal technicalities, and this is not fair, and this is not fair, and I got a dump truck lawyer, and you know, like trying to justify things. And so when I finally got sentenced to a life, like I said, I just kind of lost hope. And so when I finally went to prison, um, that was my mindset. My mindset was that like I'm gonna spend the rest of my life in here. I'm gonna die in here, and so I gotta do everything possible to make my life comfortable. You know, to
Mm.
be accepted, to feel like acknowledged and respected in here. And I remember I went to high desert, you know, level 4, 180 in 1997.
Yeah.
And we're on this lockdown, you know, because that's just what high desert was. We're always locked down
Yeah.
because it was like literally one of the most violent prisons at that time, you know.
I know my mom used to tell me, he's on lockdown. We can't go visit him. He's on lockdown.
Yeah.
We can't go visit him.
And so I remember literally the first day I went out to the yard after like 6 months of being on lockdown. Um, I'm out there, and you know, I have one of my homeboys on the yard, and he comes up to me and he's like, "Hey, just be careful. Like something's supposed to happen today." He's like, "I don't really know what, but just watch out, you know." And so I'm like, "I don't know nothing. I'm 18 years old. You know, I'm an 18-year-old kid. I don't know what to look out for. I don't know what's going on." And so just so happens, right? I started talking to this guy, and we're talking and whatever, and then all of a sudden, like, you know, we're facing each other like this, right? And I see two guys coming from behind him, right? And you could just tell like something's going on, like they're walking with purpose, you know,
Yeah.
and they're coming straight towards us, right? And I'm just like, the hell, you know, like, and then all of a sudden, the one dude grabs him and just holds him, like bear hugs him so he can't move. And then the other guy comes and just starts stabbing him in his neck. And I remember I was just like, what the hell is going on
Yeah.
here? Like, and they take off, right? And the guy just kind of like grabs his neck and just starts kind of staggering away. And then, you know, when something like that happens, everybody just scatters, like gets away from the incident, from the person
Yeah.
that got hurt, you know. And so my homeboy saw and he came, he's got me, and he's like, "Hey, come on here." Like, so we kind of get away, and then the dude ends up like he's walking towards the gate trying to go to like, you know, get help, and he just falls though before, and nobody sees, or and he's just laying there bleeding, you know, for like a good, I want to say like 5 minutes,
Hmm.
until finally you hear the alarm and they come and get him, and like he's just kind of like lifeless. Um, he ended up living, you know, but that was a scary moment for me,
Yeah.
you know.
It would be.
And so I remember going back and talking to my cellie at the time and telling him what happened, and he was young too. Like we were both young, and he was just like, "Damn, that's crazy," and you know, and we're just talking, and we're like, "Man, like, I don't ever want that to happen to me." And so, even though I was already in that mindset where I was like, "Hey, I gotta do what I gotta do," that just kind of even more cemented it in my mind that like I'm gonna do whatever it takes to not let that happen to me.
Yeah.
um, because even though I thought that I wasn't gonna get out, like I didn't want to die like that. You know, I still wanted to live my life,
Yeah.
even if it was gonna be in prison. I wanted to die an old man in prison, whatever, you know. But so from that time on, it was just like that was just kind of always in the back of my mind, like driving me. Like I'm not gonna be that guy, and so I was like the perfect soldier, you know, like follow the rules and do everything the right way, and you know, somebody gotta go. Like, all right, cool, I'll do it. You know, as long as it's not me. If I'm the one doing it, then it's not me.
Yeah.
You know, and so you know, I just kind of started my prison career from that moment on, where with that mindset, and throughout the years, it's what I did. You know, people had to get hurt. I was willing to do it. You know, I stabbed quite a few people. I beat up people. I sold drugs. I kind of was like dabbled in the politics, but not really, because that was never really my thing, you know, initially. I was still young, and I was just like that's not, I don't want to be a part of that, you know. Um, but as time went by, it was like you just kind of get put in these positions where it's like now you have this reputation, and now people are kind of looking up to you, and
Hmm.
they're like, "Oh yeah, that's the homie," you know, like he's with the business, and you know, so people kind of have these expectations of you, and they're like, "Well, like we need you to do this, and we need you to do X, Y, Z," and like so it was just like kind of reluctantly where this, oh, we need you to run this building, or we need you to do whatever it was, and I wasn't gonna say no,
Yeah.
because hey, I'm here. I'm with the business. I'm one of the guys,
Yeah.
So I kind of got caught up with that a little bit, and then eventually in 2006, I was actually back at High Desert.
Yeah.
And this I had left, but then I had I had already went to the shoe one time because I had got an assault on a cop, and then I had got caught with drugs, and then when I was in the hole, like I stabbed somebody, and so I ended up getting a 3-year shoe, and then after that, they kicked me back
So
to
the shoe really bad?
the shoe is bad. I mean, it's you know,
No, but stories like we don't. Most of the people I know never been there. I don't aren't gonna go there. But
yeah,
the stories that we that out here they hear about the shoe that it's really bad. It's like the worst thing ever, and you know
it is.
shit
I
goes
mean,
shit goes on, and
it's that's where kind of that's like the hub of all the politics, because all the guys that are really like active and doing everything, they're usually in the shoe. So there's like a lot of politics going on, a lot of scheming and plotting, and just like people trying to climb up the ladder, and backstabbing, and and then on top of that, you're in your cell. I mean, 23 hours a day. If you're lucky, you get out,
yeah,
because sometimes you don't, and so um, it's not as bad now because you get a lot more privileges, but before it was like, you only go to store like, I don't know, $35 a month. You didn't really have anything, just books, if that, and now though you can have like a TV and radio. You go to store like $80 or $100 or something, and so you have a little more luxuries. But even with that, it's still not cool.
hmm
Like because like where I was getting to is that when I was back in High Desert in 2006, we ended up doing like a mass hunger strike. I mean, not mass hunger strike, a mass
hmm
cell extraction, where basically everybody, all the homies, all boarded up their cells and made the cops come and get them, and they come in, they pepper spray you,
Was this
and
everybody or just Mexicans?
just all the Mexicans,
Okay.
yeah. So, and it's kind of jacked up. They
Yeah,
pepper spray you. You don't really have nothing to,
yeah,
to protect yourself against,
yeah.
and then they all come in all suited and geared up with their helmets and their batons, and they throw these pepper spray grenades in there and just come in there and bully you pretty
Yeah.
much, get you down, handcuff you, and strip you butt naked, and put you back in the cell, until they send you to the hole. And so after that, because I wasn't really involved in the politics there on that yard, but my cellie was.
hmm
So I was kind of like, you know, um, they look at me the same because that's your celly. So it's like, well, you guys are together. You know. But and in essence, it's true. Like because if you're cellies with the guy that's running the yard, then I mean, you're helping them make decisions, and you
Yeah.
have a say in what's going on. And so they ended up validating like a mass amount of us. I want to say like 50,
Yeah.
and so now I end up in Corcoran shoe, and so I ended up spending the next 10 years in the shoe, till 2016 and 20, like the end of 2014, I think. I ended up finally transferring to Pelican Bay, and I was there for about a year and some change, 2 years almost, I think. And I mean, that decade was like the worst time
Yeah.
in prison, my prison
So
term.
how was it going from one place to another place? Like how was the transition to go from like you went from High Desert to Pelican, I mean, to the shoe to the other shoe to
I mean, it's not hard, like the only time it's hard is when you're on like the main line, the general population, and you have all your stuff, and you're out there, and especially if you're living large, like you're getting drugs and selling and whatever. Maybe you're involved in the politics, and then all of a sudden you just lose everything, and then you're like, oh man, this sucks,
oh
you know. But just going from prison to prison is kind of like it's not really hard because you have all you have the homies everywhere you go, so when you go somewhere new, as long as you're cool and you're in good standings, they're going to embrace you and make sure you got whatever you need. And eventually usually there's people that from other prisons. It's a small world, and if they know you're a, like deemed like a good guy with the business, they're gonna embrace you. They're gonna
yeah.
bring you in the circle, and hey, then you good again. But when you go to the shoe or the hole, you kind of lose everything, and then you're just gonna like, it sucks. But I mean, you adapt, like anything, you adapt. You just find ways to deal with it and cope, and whether it's through reading or that's what I did. That was my thing. Like I read a lot. I read probably, I don't know, hundreds of books, over the years. And that's where I found like a lot of pleasure, a lot of joy. Like, it was kind of an escape. I mean, you go into these different worlds in your brain, and it was something that I enjoyed, that helped me pass the time. And, but once I got to Corcoran, just knowing a lot of people, and you know now you got real um, like members, and they're around you, and they get to see you and get to know you, and then if they like you, then it's like, oh, okay, now they want to bring you in, and hey, I need you to do this, and hey, I need you to do that, and,
Mm.
so that's kind of what happened to me, where I was like, I had a lot of friends and people that knew me, and they're like, "Oh yeah, that's the homie. He's with the business," and so then the the big dogs, they kind of are checking you out, and they want to see what you're about and see what you can do for them, and so then it was like, hey, I need you to do this, and hey, I need you to do that, and if you have access to doing different things, and you have people on the streets that will help you out, and which I did, and so that kind of put me in a position to where it's like now I'm doing X, Y, and Z. I'm running the building, and I got people on different yards that I'm in contact with, and helping them run the yard, and making money, and moving drugs, and doing all that type of stuff. And it's just like, and it just becomes like a how do you say it? I don't know. It just becomes like a chore, and then like it's kind of exciting at first, but then it's like man, it's stressful,
Yeah.
because you're in the spotlight, but at the same time, you got a lot of responsibilities, and you got to deal with everybody's complaints, and even though these are supposed to be like the toughest of the toughest and the worst of the worst, and
Yeah.
like there's a lot of people that are big old babies.
Yeah.
And they're come crying to you because you're running things, and you got to deal with all these just little things, issues that are really not that important, but it falls on your head, and then on top of that, it's like if things don't go right, then you got to face the consequences, you know whether that's um, financially or like physically, you get hurt, like I've seen people like really, because they were in these positions of authority and they mess up, and next thing you know, like they're done, and seen people get murdered, over this type of stuff. I've, played a part in a lot of different things that I'm not very proud of, but um, it was just kind of like just stressful. That's the best word for
Yeah.
it. It was stressful for me. It was a stressful time in my life. Like I literally ended up having to take high blood pressure medication
Yeah.
because I was so stressed out all the time, you know, and just angry. I was just angry. Like I was angry, bitter. Like I really was trying to find a way, because you don't have access to people no more. You're just by yourself, or you're lucky if you got a celly, But um, like I was trying to find a way to just like hurt somebody
Yeah.
to get my anger out, and I was always just very quick to like snap on people and belittle them, and just like try to get them to react so that I could have a reason to try and justify why I wanted to hurt them,
Yeah.
you know? And like I knew I was doing this, but like I didn't care. And I really felt like damn, I could just really like kill somebody in here. And I wanted to. Like that's what I was trying to do. I was calling people out and telling them, let's do this. Like come to my cell, and we'll put in the paperwork and just like, and you know, I don't know, I was just like a very angry, mean person. Like that's what I had become now at this time in my, prison journey. Um,
So when you were okay, you were there. I was gonna ask you a question. I forgot. So when you're in is that like when you like they said that you got up, you did like the fast or not fast, not eat, and then the boarding up your cells.
mhm,
What's it called? Distraction or cell extraction, whatever.
mhm.
What are the other people, the other prisoners? Are you guys all in the same like module or just your module?
No, it was the whole yard, so it was like every different building or whatever you want to call it, module or whatever. Like, every building holds 200 people or so. So it's like everybody, um, like every Mexican in all the buildings did it. The cell extraction.
And the other guys, what do?
They just watched.
They stay in their cell, or
Yeah, they have to stay in their cells because the cops ain't gonna let them out
what
when they're
happens
doing all that.
what happens to all the pepper spray? Do they get it too?
Yeah, 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 they do. If somebody's doing that around you, you just kind of put towels on the floor, like on the sides of the doors, and block up the vents and stuff, so that way it's like kind of lessens the effect of it that it has in your cell because you can't get away,
Hmm.
like you're just there. But if you just leave them open, like,
Yeah,
oh yeah, you're gonna feel it.
sucks.
It's nothing nice. And I remember one time when me and another guy, we stabbed this guy in the hole, and um, they had these cannons, and so they're like up on a platform, and so they got the 2 yards right there, right, and there's like chain link fence in between, and but when something happens, they use this cannon, and it's like water mixed with pepper spray, but like high pressure, and so we were hurting this guy, and so they're telling us get down and all that, and then they start spraying you with that cannon, right? And so it's like literally like you're taking a shower with pepper spray. Like every inch of you is covered with it, and we like walked out of there just like orange, and I mean, it doesn't feel good.
Yeah,
That's for sure.
yeah.
And like I'm not laughing like because I feel bad now. I feel bad like for all the people that I victimized. Because it's just so silly. Like all these things that I did for just all the wrong reasons. Like, and I hurt a lot of people
Yeah.
on the outside and on the inside.
Here's something. Must be outside. Okay. Yeah. So yeah, you hurt people for the wrong reason. Yeah, I understand what that would be. But so and then after towards the end, like how did you transition from all that to getting out or trying to get out?
Well, like I said, at that time, I was just kind of very angry, bitter, and really what it was, like what that sparked everything for me was when Nana died. Um, I hadn't seen her for probably, when I say Nana, that's my
Yeah, my mom's mom.
it's my grandma's mom,
Yeah.
you know.
Did
So
she go visit you?
she did used to go visit me when I was in the county,
Okay.
but once I went to prison, it was just kind of too far for her to go. So I hadn't seen her in probably about 12, 13 years at this point. And, you know, she passed away. And I remember, I remember my mom came to visit me and she told me, and you know, when you're in the shoe, it's kind of like you do everything by yourself. So they put you in this little visiting booth, and then you're behind glass, and they're on the other side, and so you have your own little individual visiting booth, right? And I remember she told me, and I just started crying.
No, that was hard for all of us. Cause she was real too. She told you. She told you the same thing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and you know, it was just that. Like she was the first person that I ever lost it. Like it really affected me
Hmm.
because, like, you know, you see people die, you know, on the streets, and you see whatever people, and I sat, you know, homies in there that got killed and stuff, you know. I seen one of my, it's like some young guy. I remember we were like really cool, and he tried to bring in some dope, and it busted in his stomach, and he ended up dying. He OD'd, you know, and but at the same time, it was just like I felt bad, you know, I did, but it was just like, wow, hey, this was what you signed up for, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
and so I didn't really kind of allow myself to feel it, you know. But with her, it was different, you know, and so it hit me hard, and I just went back. I remember going back, and I remember I cried for about like 2 days.
Yeah.
And I remember thinking man, like, is this really what my life has amounted to?
Yeah.
Like, um, like I lost somebody that I really love and had a lot of great memories with, you know. Um, and I hadn't seen her in such a long time, and on top of that, it's like I'm validated, I'm in the shoe, and at that time I really believed like I was gonna die in prison in the shoe.
Yeah.
And so it was like, is this what my life is gonna be like? Like I'm just gonna be here stressed out, dealing with all this drama, BS, and just losing the people that I care about most. And
Stop.
and like what really hit me though hard was that like I just started thinking like, she passed away believing that I cared more about the game and that lifestyle more than I did about her and my family, you know?
Yeah.
And like I didn't want to keep doing that, I didn't want, my grandma, my mom, like you guys, like the people I loved and cared about to just continue thinking that like, oh, that's just him, that's just who he is, that's just, you know, that's what he that's what he cares about, and so
I mean, it seriously, like, to me, it kind of seemed like that like, that's how it kind of seemed when you were in there.
mhm,
Because my mom would just be like, I was doing, no, he's in jail, he's doing this, but it was nothing really positive of trying to get out or thinking about getting out. He was just, you were just going through the motions or whatever.
I
And,
was,
like, she would, because I'd tell her, how's he doing? Like, what do you think? And she's like, and like, she was saying, go, if I wanted to go visit you, but like I said, I'd never wanted to go see you in jail. Like,
mhm,
I'd rather the memories we had before that. And then when you get out, I'll see you then. You know what I mean? So that's the whole thing. And it's just like when you were in there and the way she would go, she'd be like, "That's it. This is it forever." Like, and it was taking a toll on her. Like, she'd go down there and she was 100. She goes and she'd go with her mom, and now she'd go by herself, and then she's starting to go with somebody else. I don't
mhm,
know who else she was going with. She would just, they'd go down there. She'd take the train, and I'd buy her a plane ticket or whatever it is to get out there, and then she started going with Darlene, and it was just, it was hard. Like, it was hard for her to go, but she just kept going. And it was just like,
yeah,
she was gonna go no matter what. But it's just like her look was like, this is it. Like, he's not getting out. He's not even trying to get out. It's just, this is it. I'm just gonna go visit him and go visit him till I can't visit him no more. And then but there's sometimes when she'd be sad because you were far away, or it was just she couldn't make it. You know. And it seemed like your mom was the same way. Your mom was be like, I'm like, you going? Well, I'm gonna go, but what's name's not going. Your mom's not going. And I'm like, but I go, well, this, like, wait. But no, she, no, I already made an appointment. I'm already, and my mom's stubborn. She just,
yeah,
she would be sick or whatever. And I'm like, but,
yeah, for sure. And I could see it.
you know, I'm glad you
So
changed though. Glad you changed your mind though.
yeah, so it was just kind of like that was the catalyst that kind of sparked things, because I was just like, I don't want to do that, Like, I don't want to just keep losing the people that I love and then just feeling that all I care about is myself and the gang and, my just stupid work beliefs, that I had. And so, I mean, it wasn't like a, light switch thing where it just,
Yeah,
hey, I'm just all of a sudden I'm a new person, but that sparked something in me that made me start to do things differently. I started like doing these little courses through correspondence, like self help, stuff like that, like anger management, and like NA 12 steps, and I started doing college.
yeah,
It was like the opportunity came up, and I just say, you know what, like I got the time, like I'm just in my cell all day, like not doing anything. Like
yeah.
I might as well see what this is about, And I did it, and I liked it. I did good. I excelled. I got mostly A's and B's, and it was something to like look forward to. And so slowly it was just like I started doing more and more of these things. But I'm still in the shoe. I'm still caught up in stuff, and it's hard to kind of like disconnect yourself from all that when you're still, they have these expectations of you. And so
Let's end this one right here. We'll end this one right here, and then we'll continue with the next one. So, yeah, we're gonna continue. This is on episode 2 on Jason, and then we'll go on. We'll come back and do another episode on number 3. That should be the last one coming out. So hope you guys are enjoying what you're listening to, and hope this story is inspirational to help you cope with some of the things that you go through, or some of the things you're going through, and he can help, you know, um, help your situation. Maybe you can go the right way, or not go the right way, but just help your journey into a better place, or just see what's going on. All right. So thanks, Jace, and then we'll come back with number 3. All right. All right, everybody, like and subscribe. All platforms, YouTube, 24 Slayton. All right. Thanks a lot, and we're out.